Hey there, professor, look what I brought. Now tell me what's my rock. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What's My Rock, the show where real people bring me their rocks and I try to identify them. I'm your professor, Dr. Abstract. I'm here with my new friends, Heather and Jeanette. And where are you guys coming from today?
Mentone.
Mentone.
Yep.
Oh, very far.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys do when you're not rock hounding?
So most of the time I'm actually playing in the dirt myself. I am kind of a project manager, executive assistant to a dirt broker. So we are out there just moving dirt.
Hold on. A dirt broker.
Yes. We know lots of people, like lots of contractors, lots of public entities, city officials that, they're doing projects all over Southern California, and we have the transportation to move the dirt from one project to another.
So like someone's like, I have some dirt.
Yeah.
And they call you, I need some dirt.
Yeah.
And you call the people that have the dirt and you make the connection.
So I set everything up I get all the trucks set up on the projects. And then I actually go out there and I'm on site with them.
Okay.
And I manage them and make sure everybody knows where they're going.
I didn't even know this was a career possibility.
It's a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
I love it.
That sounds great.
I worked at Victoria's Secrets before this, and so I went from being in the mall to being out in the dirt, and I wouldn't give up the dirt.
Both are a little dirty though.
I guess they are actually.
So I think I see it as a lateral move from
Yeah, I love
Victoria's
it.
Secret. And so you probably interact with geologists.
Yeah, sometimes they actually come out to the job sites. It's very cool. Sometimes, they have to go out there and bore into the grounds, and we have to find out. Sometimes they may not bore in all the correct spots, and we run into 12 feet of rock, and that's never fun, but it's fun to see the rock, though.
Occasionally, she will bring me one.
Yeah, I've seen boulders bigger than the height of this room. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's awesome. And when I'm talking about geologists, I'm talking about the real geologists that actually like figure out the soil that you're going to put your building on, or make sure that your bridge isn't going to fall down.
Sometimes come out there.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the not professor geologists that just sit around and identify rocks for a living, but the real ones, the ones that are licensed. Geology is a licensed profession. Internet, you can make a good living as a licensed geologist. And Jeanette, what do you do when you're not rock hounding?
I just recently retired, so I'm just enjoying being home.
Awesome. I love it.
She almost pulled me into retirement, being retired. I have to go do all this rock hounding with her now.
That sounds great. Well, you're very busy. I mean, you're rock hounding. It's not like you're just sitting around, watching Dr. Phil or something.
Yeah. No,
I pick up rocks as often as I can.
all the time.
We grew up in Wyoming, and my dad would every weekend go out artifact hunting.
Okay.
But if I would have known then what I know now about the rocks and some of the rocks that are in Wyoming, I would have been not just looking for his artifacts, I would have been picking up other things.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a geology paradise in Wyoming.
Yeah. Had I known.
And it's great because there's not a lot of plants and there's also not a lot of people.
Right.
So it's perfect. Well, what do you guys have today for us to look at? Let's start out with that big one.
Yeah, there's the smaller pieces of one of them.
Okay. There we go.
There.
Okay, yeah, this is very big. I think you told me before we started that this is broken up parts of this piece.
No, there was two of them.
Okay.
Somebody had cut one of them. It was in the neighbor's yard and it got broken. And this is the one that didn't get broken. So highly good chance that it came from Mexico.
Because the gentleman spent some time down there.
He lived in Mexico for about 7 years or so.
Okay.
And he had it in his yard as kind of like yard art, and then he just was giving away some pieces from his yard. I'm
inclined to believe that it's an import because I haven't seen this around here before. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I mean, I'm not omniscient, but I just haven't seen this kind of thing around here. I could believe it's from Mexico for sure. People do this all the time. You go on a trip, you get a rock, you put it in your yard because it's pretty.
Yep.
And a million years from now, there's going to be really frustrated geologists trying to figure out where that basalt came from in my front yard.
Yeah.
So let's make some observations. So the outside is broken up in all these little fractures, and they're kind of random, but they're kind of not. They almost look like they're a little pattern, right? Not a great pattern, but it kind of looks
Like I
geometrical,
thought,
kind of.
like maybe a cluster of eggs or something. I don't know.
right. It looks sort of vaguely like geometric,
Yeah.
like as far as nature is concerned, right?
Yeah.
And there's some of the cracks are quite big, some of them are quite thin. And the outside is sort of a tan color, a little. That means it's been weathered. That means it's been reacted with the environment. And the inside is fresh, sort of a dark gray. And then there's some lighter material in here. Um,
Yeah, in this
uh,
one, you can see some really good shiny spots
yes,
that
definitely.
are like,
So these shiny spots are surfaces of mineral grains. So this mineral that I'm looking at here, it has what we call cleavage, which is when a mineral breaks along preferred weakness planes. And there are a lot of minerals that do that. And the most obvious mineral that this might be is a mineral called calcite. Have you heard of that mineral before? It's
yeah.
a calcium carbonate mineral. And there's a very simple test we can do for calcite to see if it's that. And you guys know what we do?
Did the acid?
Yeah, we get to drop some acid.
I didn't go
Okay.
to class that day, so I
Okay, it's all good.
forgot.
So what we're gonna do, yeah, thanks, Dylan. Let's get that out of the way. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna find one of these surfaces here. This is hydrochloric acid, 10%. It's not super strong, and I'm gonna drop a little bit of acid on that, and we're gonna see if it fizzes. And can you guys see that?
Mhm.
I can hear it fizzing.
You can hear it fizzing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely fizzing. So that's a positive test for a mineral calcite. I mean, there's a few other minerals that will fizz, but that's the main one. When I first saw this, my first idea was that this is some sort of what we call a concretion.
Okay.
Um, some people call it a nodule.
Okay.
But have you heard the word concretion?
Yes, I will when I cheated and I used my Google and I looked it up, it was saying something about nodules and concretion, and it said something about possibly like being mud or something that was like hit by some type of lightning, but I don't know if that is related to that. I don't
I
know.
so there are these things called fulgurites. This is not a fulgurite. I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay, okay,
lightning strike makes a rock called a fulgurite,
okay.
where the lightning actually melts or fuses
Gotcha.
sand or soil and makes this really cool looking feature.
Okay, gotcha.
That's not what
Not this.
that's not what
Okay,
this is.
gotcha.
This is a sedimentary feature. This is something that happens deep in the earth. Okay,
Okay,
so it's kind of hard to understand if you're not used to thinking about these things. But
okay.
imagine we have sediments that get buried. They're several kilometers beneath the surface of the
Yes.
earth. And down there, it's a totally different world. So, for example, the pressure is higher, the temperature's a little higher. And so, what you get is fluids that move around through the rock. Minerals will precipitate in a spot, and other minerals will precipitate around it. And so, you get this growing
It's just
blob of minerals, sort of like I don't know, this like a tumor.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, like it's growing. It's
A little bit like a geode.
A geode is in the family of nodules and concretions. Exactly. Thank you. That's much nicer than a tumor. I usually use food,
These look like tubers right here.
so they grow underground inside other rocks. And calcite is a mineral that's very soluble in water, especially when you go to higher pressures. And so that's going to be really soluble in the water. It's going to grow these big nodules. So I'm going to call this is a calcite concretion. Okay, and I'm going to take it a step further because of these fractures that are on the surface. You may have seen the word septarian nodule.
Yes,
Right?
that's exactly
So
what we saw.
this is
Yeah.
a septarian nodule. Some septarian nodules can be very beautiful, by the way.
Yes.
If you look at them, people polish them and they look
Yes.
really beautiful. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think this is that kind. Let me rephrase. How
This
rude
is the ugly
I
kind.
don't mean it like that. I don't mean to
Just
sound rude.
kidding.
So
A little bit polished.
if you Google septarian nodule, you're going to see these really
Oh, yeah.
beautiful images of these light gray limestone, basically, and then these sort of tan veins that go through them.
Yeah.
They're very contrast. These don't have quite the same contrasting color. I can see on here, right here, you can see a little bit of what you would get if you polished it. These kinds of veins right there.
Yeah.
So it's very cool looking. I
Yeah.
think if you did polish that, if you're able to cut it without it completely falling apart,
Yeah.
that's one of the problems with this.
This is probably what happened when the last
Yeah,
one
because
was tried to
somebody
be
cut
cut.
it
I
at
mean,
one point. You
you-
can see where it's cut.
if you go join a rock club, you could cover the whole thing in epoxy and then sort of cut it and
Oh,
penetrate it with more epoxy and cut it, keep putting epoxy
Oh,
in there.
nice.
That'll hold it all together and you might be able to get a nice cut out of
Okay.
it. And I bet you would look pretty cool on the inside.
Yeah.
Start small with cutting these.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
I like that.
they're definitely going to break up. But this
Yeah.
is a calcite concretion, or you can call it a
Cool.
septarian nodule. It forms underground by geochemical processes of mineral dissolution and precipitation. That's basically what you got going on here. Why are the cracks there, by the way? Just think of how do you get the volume to change in the rock, which could create fractures. That could be from mineral growth. It could be from pressure changes. It could be from temperatures. All kinds of things that could happen. I don't really know why they form. All right, so that's a big one. Calcite concretion slash septarian nodule, and it's probably from Mexico. So,
Perfect.
any more questions about that one?
I don't.
No.
Okay,
All
great.
Good.
Well,
Thank you.
let's see contestant number 2. Would you like to give me any additional information where you found this one? As whatever you're comfortable with.
It came in a collection that we got from somebody. I have no idea.
Oh,
No information.
It's like in a little display case in the living room, and so when we were leaving, I grabbed it because I wanted to know a little bit more about it because I like the colors on it. I thought it was interesting.
yeah, it's very pretty. It's shiny and it's got crystal faces on it. So these are the kind of things that attract us to
Like a
rocks and
volcano.
minerals. Yeah, it actually does kind of look like a
Reminds me
volcano.
of a volcano.
And it's got some little whitish bit of rock on the outside of it. So what is this thing? So first of all, I'm going to get my handy hand lens out. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of flat surfaces here, very shiny. There's some red stuff in between the long crystals. Red almost always means oxidized iron. The shiny long crystals, the flaky crystals are kind of a tan color, kind of like a silvery tan color, right? And then there's this rock here that's kind of white, kind of speckled white. This is important. I mean, you may not have looked at that part, but that helps me
Yeah,
identify
it's like
this.
totally like two different tones of surface there.
Totally. Would
Yeah.
you like to look at it with a hand lens?
Sure.
Okay. So the best thing to do is go ahead and put it up as close as possible to your eye. I need to do a video on how to use a hand lens.
So I see.
I will do that.
You want to look?
I'm good.
Okay.
So this to me looks like muscovite mica. It has a characteristic flakiness to it. Dylan, we got any other mica around here? Here we go. This is a nice flat, beautiful
I find that
mica flakes, mica sheets. Sometimes people call them mica books.
It's a whole flake of mica.
It's a whole flake of mica.
Yeah.
All right. So they can get huge.
Oh wow.
You can go into some mines and find mica the size of this table. Okay, they can get really, really big. Muscovite mica contains the elements potassium, aluminum, and silicon, and not much else. There's a few other things it can have, but those are going to be the main elements. Well, of course, also oxygen and hydrogen, but the main, what we call cations, or the positively charged ones that define it as muscovite, are potassium, aluminum, and silicon. And there are a few other micas that can disguise themselves as muscovite, but I think 99% of micas in the world that have this color are going to be muscovite mica. And the thing is this little bit right here, this little piece that's lighter colored, is actually the host rock. This is the rock that it formed in.
Okay.
And this is some kind of a granite. Okay, so this is the white there is going to be a mineral called albite, and there's little flecks of gray in there too.
Yeah.
And that's going to be quartz.
Oh.
Okay. And there's probably also, let me see if there's another type of feldspar in there. Yeah, there's the quartz, and then there's the light feldspar. Now that feldspar might be another one called orthoclase. Yeah, it looks like there's just one feldspar. So it's probably either albite or a mineral called orthoclase.
Okay.
Anyways, that's getting a little more nerdy than we need to get. So the basic idea though is this is a chunk of a granite or a granitoid rock. It's either going to be a rock we call a tonalite, which is albite and quartz, or it's going to be an alkali feldspar granite, which is going to be orthoclase and quartz, something like that. But the main point of all this is that this granite or granitoid type rock here commonly is associated with muscovite.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you'll find them together.
Right.
Oh, okay.
This is just sort of like peanut butter and jelly. Muscovite forms in granites.
So it could be found almost anywhere?
It can't be found almost anywhere. And in fact, the mica that's most common in our area is actually biotite mica.
Is that what this is?
Well, this is muscovite. But in around the San Bernardino area, Mentone, we get a lot more biotite because of the rock types that are around here. And that's going to be a sort of a black, dark brown mica. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Dylan. So this is our biotite mica, and this is our muscovite mica. Totally different colors, but they have they have the same shine.
May I pick it up?
Of course you can. They both have what we call perfect cleavage, which means we can actually rip off pieces of the grain as if it were leaves of a book.
Oh, wow.
And they have a very common crystal habit. A crystal habit is the shape that a mineral grows in, and the habit is that it just grows in flakes. These flakes in here are elongated flakes, but they're still flakes.
Yeah,
So this is a chunk of really beautiful muscovite, and it does look like a volcano. Look at
it
that.
does. It reminds me or of, like, remember those trolls back in, like, the 80s or the
With the blue
90s
hair?
with the hair? Like, it reminded me of that orange hair kind of.
And I'll say one last thing about the geology of this. The fact that it has potassium in it and all this aluminum, that suggests that this granite actually formed from melting of a sedimentary rock instead of the biotite, which usually forms from melting igneous rocks.
That's
That is
awesome.
Like
interesting.
if you want a fancy word, and I like fancy words, that is a paraluminous granite. That's a rock that has excess aluminum in it to make aluminum-rich minerals like muscovite. Okay, internet, there you go.
Can you say paraluminous?
Paraluminous.
Paraluminous.
P-E-R-A-L-U-M-I-N-O-U-S. Paraluminous. Okay.
Nice. Got our spelling in for the day.
Well,
That's
spelling is
awesome.
They're in our
important.
fancy words.
Yes.
That's right.
I love learning.
I don't want anyone to think I don't know how to spell.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so this one, is this another one off a shelf from a collection? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it was a pretty yellow one I wanted to.
Did you ever smell it?
No, can
No.
I smell it?
Yes.
Usually.
Is it spray painted?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe you were like, it's spray paint or something.
Does it smell like anything to you guys?
It smelled like kind of chalky to me for some reason.
Smells chalky?
I don't know.
Kind of smells a little bit like cleaner.
Yeah, I guess this is not particular. It's not as pungent as some of the other ones I've seen.
Oh, so they will have a smell? Oh my gosh,
This looks like sulfur crystals to me. So this is crystals of what
okay.
we call it native sulfur.
Okay.
Native sulfur is this nerd speak for it's sulfur that occurs by itself with no other elements attached to it.
Cool.
Okay, it's just pure
It
pure
just looks
sulfur.
pretty.
Very commonly forms in volcanoes. When gas is coming out of a volcano, it will precipitate sulfur crystals. So next time you're in Hawaii, go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park,
Okay.
and there'll be these things called fumaroles, which are these steamy vents where you'll see steam coming out of the ground, and look inside those vents, without breathing in
Would they have
poisonous
those in Thermopolis?
Yeah, they probably would have them in Thermopolis, and they're going to have them in Yellowstone next to some of the fumaroles in Yellowstone as well. So next time you're in Wyoming, I should be clear though, please don't go sticking your head in fumaroles. I'm realizing
Yeah, don't do
internet,
that.
don't do that. 'Cause you could breathe in noxious gases, or you could just asphyxiate yourself from carbon dioxide, because a lot of carbon dioxide could come out.
Yeah.
Now, carbon dioxide is not a poison, but it's not exactly oxygen. And so if you breathe in carbon dioxide and you get trapped in there, then I have to, I'm thinking of the
Disclaimer.
internet.
And Thermopolis always smells like eggs or sulfur.
Yeah,
So it's probably what you were getting
what
at
you're
with that.
smelling is hydrogen sulfide gas. And that's what makes rotten eggs smell. It's what makes farts smell. Methane is not what makes farts smell. It's the hydrogen sulfide gas that comes out. That's probably what you're smelling. And so anyway, so these are sulfur crystals commonly formed in volcanic events.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool. That's
There you go.
awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and we got this one last big boy here.
Ooh, wow, that one is super heavy.
Okay, yeah, this one is very heavy. I want you to tell me about this one.
Where'd it come from?
Possibly down by Warner Springs, possibly.
Okay.
So I do remember carrying out a large rock. I rolled it in my jacket and put it on my back and tied it so that I could have free hands to go out. And I think that was the rock that I hauled out of there.
That's a big rock, Mom.
That is a big rock, and it's near Warner Springs.
I believe that rock may have come from there.
You believe it would come from there. You must be having fun rock hounding if you have hazy memories of it.
Well, yeah, that particular one we've had around the house for a little while, and that would be only two places that I could think of. It would be either up by San Simeon or down by Warner Springs.
All right, so those are quite different geologies, San Simeon versus Warner Springs.
Yeah,
so,
and we don't remember.
Now, off camera before we started, you said you thought this might be a fossil.
Yeah, it looks like a bone.
Okay, because of the shape of it.
Yeah, the shape and
Okay, so I'm gonna hold it up like that, and there's a shape right there. Kind of looks like a pelvis or a femur or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
big. Okay, and then the color on the outside kind of looks like bone color, right? All right, for it to be a bone, what I would look for are textures that look like a bone, right? So they're going to be little dots, which represent the holes in the bone, or they're going to be long lines, which represent also holes in the bone, but cut in a different way. So I'm looking for some kind of a bone texture. And paleontologists, forgive me, I know there's a word, it's like osteocyte, osteolith, osteo blah blahs or something like that. There's some sort of a word. Dylan, do you know what the word is?
I do not.
I liked osteoblahblahs.
Osteoblahblahs?
It seemed I like
That's
easy to
good.
remember.
All right. I'm not seeing any bone textures on the outside that I would need to see to suspect this being a bone. It's very, very irregular and random texture. I'm not seeing any of those. I'm just not seeing that in this particular rock.
It looks like crystal to me, like
This material right here that you're looking at, I can see little sparkliness stuff to it. So these are what we call druzy crystals. To be druzy, that means little crystals are forming on the surface of something else. A bunch of little tiny crystals.
okay.
And that's what's happening here. Some of it's shiny. That means it's reflecting off microscopic crystal faces. Some of it is not as shiny, so this could be grading into botryoidal textures, which is like more like little grape clusters. So what is this thing? Just by looking at it at first, this looks to me like some kind of chunk of quartz.
Okay.
And we may not call it quartz, but it might be something that we call a chert.
Okay.
This mostly looks like a chert. So
Okay.
a chert means it's something that's made of cryptocrystalline quartz. Crypto means you can't see the crystals even in a microscope. Now to test that, I'm going to do a really simple test, which is to scratch it.
Okay.
Because this little file right here will not scratch quartz. This is metal,
Okay.
and quartz cannot be scratched by common metals. I mean, you
Okay.
could make a metal like a tungsten carbide or something that will
Yeah.
scratch it, but a little iron file is not going to scratch
Okay.
a quartz. So I'm just going to scratch the darn thing, and if I can make a scratch, then it might not be quartz. See if I
yeah.
can do this.
Yeah, you need like a little GoPro or something.
Oh, GoPro, that's a great idea. I should get a GoPro. But then I look even nerdier than I do standing here with my GoPro. Okay, so I'm going to try to scratch this thing. I can just tell right away.
Oh
This
yeah.
is very, 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 very hard. I'm actually pressing down pretty hard. This is almost certainly going to be quartz or some silicon dioxide material. So I'm going to call this a chert nodule. Again, another nodule.
You got
And
lots of nodules.
Yeah.
It's going to form in the same way that the septarian nodule formed,
Cool.
except it's a different material. So it's a little bit of a different process.
Okay.
The stuff around it, this could be, let me scratch the stuff around it. See, this stuff does scratch. I can easily scratch that. I can make
You can
make
hear it
mark.
too,
You can see
yeah.
it from there, right?
Mhm.
If I
Yeah.
go up here, I can make scratches really easily, okay? So what that tells me is that this material is very soft. We can do another acid test because everyone
Okay.
loves the
The acid
acid.
test.
So chert will commonly form in limestone. Limestone is made of the mineral calcite, which is the same stuff that we saw earlier.
Gotcha.
So limestone should fizz.
Drum roll.
I don't see any fizz.
Oh, it didn't do.
There's fizz in there.
There's a little fizz
It's,
inside
it's
there.
not super strong, but there's definitely some bubbles. That wasn't very impressive, though. Let me try to clean a surface. How about that? So we're going to make a nice, fresh surface. I'm sorry. I'm totally messing up your rock. I didn't even ask.
It's just a rock. It's
It's
okay.
It's not just a rock. It's not.
It's fine.
Is it okay if I do
Yeah,
this?
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's why
okay.
we brought it in.
Yeah, we
Part
wanted.
of my manners.
No. Our rocks are your rocks. We're all here to learn together.
So now I've powdered this a little bit. So I'm going to put this right there, and it's not very impressive. There's a very faint amount, but it's definitely doing it a little bit. Now let's try it on one more thing. We're going to try this surface right there.
Okay.
This is a little bit of that druze mineral. Okay, so that druze is not really fizzing either. So that means that druzy stuff is more quartz that's forming on the outside. Okay. Let's try it up there. Yep. There's a little bit of fizzing going on there. Very little bit. So there's definitely calcite in there. But that's not definitive. I'm going to take it back. This is not definitive of it being in a limestone. That doesn't mean it's not a chert. It just means that my idea that this formed in a limestone might be incorrect. All right, so this is a chert nodule. We don't quite know where we found it. If we had more information of where we found it,
Yeah.
I could confidently say, based on the local geology, the rock type that it formed in, but we don't know that. Just based on my knowledge of geology, it probably formed in like a limestone. But you could also get giant silica deposits that form in like metamorphic deposits or hydrothermal deposits. So there's other ways that this could form. So I can't say too much about how it formed, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a chert. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Any last questions about this?
No. Okay.
No.
All right, so let's do a quick review. We had the calcite concretion we started with. You can call it a septarian nodule if you want.
I call it a dinosaur egg.
Yeah.
Dinosaur egg.
No.
We've got the muscovite mica.
Yes.
We've got the sulfur crystals, and we have this
Yep.
chert. One last thing we could do just for fun is we could zap the sulfur with the XRF gun and make sure that we get sulfur because
Sure.
it didn't quite smell. It didn't smell that sulfury to me, and I like it to smell a little sulfur. And we have this thing set up, and you guys came all the way here. You deserve a little XRF show.
Yes.
So let's go ahead
There you
and
go.
do that, just so I can feel
Yeah, let's
confident that that's what
let's
we
zap
have.
something. What's the initials for the sulfur?
Just S.
Okay.
That's
Well,
an easy one.
Okay. Yeah.
We're just looking for S to show up.
Okay.
So the balance is the total. It means 1,000,000 counts. So it bases it on 1,000,000 counts.
Okay.
Think of that as 100%. So we should see a really high number, close to 100%
Wow.
of this balance should be sulfur.
Okay.
There we go. Look
There
at
it
that.
is. Yep.
Sulfur, 926. Remember, that's
Yep.
out of 1,000,000, right? So that's
Okay.
essentially 100%
Yeah.
sulfur. Both Dylan and I looked at that one like, that is sulfur.
Okay. See, I had no idea.
But again, there's a lot of other crystals that can have these really cool looking
Okay.
yellow crystals to them. And so I just wanted to, because we can, let's
Okay.
just see it. And I thought you might
Yeah.
like to see
No,
that
that's
as well.
cool.
It's
That is
kinda
really
fun,
cool.
isn't it?
That was fun.
So, if anyone out there didn't believe it was sulfur, how do you like me now?
He knows his
Okay.
sulfur.
All right. So
Sulfur
let's go ahead-
King.
Let's go ahead and stop that. So I think that just about wraps it up. Septarian nodule, muscovite, sulfur, and a chert. So
Perfect.
any last thoughts or any last words?
No, thank you.
No, this was so much
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And thank you for letting us sniff the rocks. That was fun.
Thank
This
you
was
for
great.
coming in. Thanks for bringing your rocks in.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right,
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back to Mentone. And let's say goodbye to Heather and Jeanette, everyone.
Bye.
All right, it's time for the recap with Dylan. But before we get to Heather and Jeanette's rocks, I want to congratulate you on a successful master's defense. Thank you. So Dylan is now a master of geology. Maybe we could do a show where you show us your rocks sometime, talk about your thesis.
Sure, I'd be glad to do that. I mean, lots of obsidian for my thesis. So, but yeah, I'd be glad to show that off and update people of my life now, like that I'm no longer a grad student. It's
Yes.
weird. I'm being called professor for some reason now.
Well, where are you teaching now?
Yeah, I'm teaching both still here at Cal State San Bernardino and then also at Mount San Antonio College. So
Awesome.
Mount Zach.
Very good. Join the ranks of geology teachers worldwide. So congratulations, Dylan.
Thank you.
That's a nice milestone to be done with a degree for sure. So, well, let's dig into these rocks. So the first rock, I called it a septarian nodule. What do you think about that one?
I agree with that. That was definitely a bit more out of my wheelhouse. I looked at it, it was like, whoa, yeah. But as you were doing the tests, that made sense. Calcite. So you're thinking that it's calcite, and then cracks developed, and then it was filled in with what minerals would you say, or
More calcite. I
more
think.
calcite?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just calcite on calcite
Calcite.
on calcite. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a turducken, except, well, no, a turducken has a chicken and a duck and a turkey, but in this case, it's like a a turkey and a turkey and a turkey. It doesn't even make any sense. I don't know.
A calcite inception sort of thing. So okay.
You know what it reminds me? It does remind me. I saw Paul Prudhomme, the Cajun chef, once. He cooked a dish on a food show. It was pork chops stuffed with ground pork. So I'm gonna go with that as an analogy.
Okay. Gets the audience salivating. So
Yeah. So calcite and more calcite. Calcite
okay.
party.
Calcite party. Okay. So that would form in the crust. Like below maybe like kilometer or so, you're thinking?
Some sedimentary basin. Um, there's a variety of processes. We call them diagenetic processes or diagenesis. That refers to all the processes that happens to sediment as it becomes a sedimentary rock. And things like dissolution, cementation, where you get cement sticking grains together, compaction, movement of material and groundwater, things like that. Some sort of process like that. I don't know current thinking on how the cracks form. I kind of stumbled around with that for a little bit, but it's definitely something related to volume. I just don't know what it is. We could look it up, but I'm feeling lazy right now, Dylan.
Okay. It's not in my wheelhouse. I'm a volcanologist for sure. So
So we'll look that up later, or you can look it up. Tell you what, someone look it up in the comments and just explain why septarian nodules have cracks in it, and I'll pin your comment to the top, and you can be a hero.
I think the other ones caught my eye a bit more.
Yeah, let's do the mica,
Mica, yeah.
muscovite.
When I first looked at that, I was like, that looks kind of like a schist, which I mean, muscovite's very common in schist, but I do agree with your assessment of like pointing it more towards a granite, an igneous based
Yeah.
rock instead.
Yeah, I mean, it had a
But
chunk of granite on it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty good indication that it has an igneous origin. And the sulfur. Yeah.
yeah, that smelled like sulfur.
Oh, you did get the smell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it off camera, but yeah, that it was subtle, but yeah, it smelled definitely like sulfur.
Yeah. I got a little bit of a whiff, but it wasn't as strong as others. And it's true, there are other minerals that you might confuse with sulfur just by looking at the color, and I don't like to use color as the only thing, but the smell was unmistakable. And sulfur does have a pretty distinct crystal habit that's usually euhedral, kind of these equant grains. Euhedral means it has really nice faces. Equant means it's not elongate, they're just kind of like little ball shapes. And they have kind of an irregular crystallinity to them. They're nice faces, but the shape is kind of a weird shape. It's kind of hard to pick out. I saw all that, looking at it up close, and I was like, this is almost certainly sulfur, but I thought it'd be nice to give them a little show and just make sure, because it's nice to just get that sulfur peak in the XRF.
And that's what science is about, is that we have this suspicion, we do tests to see if we're on the right track. So the XRF helped kind of confirm which directions we were both suspecting there. So
Absolutely. It happens all the time where your first hunch is incorrect. And don't ever be cocky about science, because nature has no interest in our well-being. Nature doesn't care if we're wrong.
yeah,
So you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to be self-reflective and be like, how could I be wrong? Because I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again, and I don't want to be wrong about this particular sulfur bearing. That would be embarrassing. Yeah, but I wasn't embarrassed, so I was correct. So that felt good, and you were correct too, because that was your idea too. Sulfur is one of these minerals that you show intro students all the time. And since you teach a lot of intro classes, the intro lab sections, you've seen many sulfur specimens. So that was a pretty one, though. It was nice. The crystals look good, and it's fairly common. By the way, I looked at it when I was looking at it in doing the close-up B-roll footage. The host rock was very fine-grained, pinkish stuff that looked like a rhyolitic ash or something like that. Okay. Definitely looked like a volcanic host. So I think those sulfur crystals probably formed in a fumarole. So you've probably seen those a lot. So Dylan got his undergrad degree at University of Hawaii Hilo. So you have been to Kilauea on Hawaii and seen many fumaroles and many sulfur crystals, I'm guessing.
yeah. Before even doing my undergrad, my uncle lives in Hawaii, and I was visiting him one summer, and he decided to have fun with my cousin and I, and he had us stand next to a fumarole for a picture, and he kept on fumbling around with his camera until we finally got enough of that sulfur smell. So I'm very familiar since that age about what sulfur smells like.
Absolutely, yeah. It smells. That's what volcanoes smell like.
Yeah.
So fumarole, by the way, just means like a vent near a volcano. It's all just it's hot vapor. It can condense to make steam, which is technically a little tiny microscopic particles of liquid.
but it's mostly just a gaseous kind of a thing. So, and it's common to find sulfur crystals. I'll make sure to put some pictures I've taken of sulfur crystals in fumarole.
And the last one,
I didn't get to look so much of that. She thought it was potentially, she called it like a dinosaur bone, was it? Or,
yeah,
or jokingly.
yeah, it was kind of jokingly. She's probably hoping it was a dinosaur bone.
Yeah, I know.
I would
which
too.
point, yeah, I think that's definitely out of my wheelhouse to identify a fossil. But at the same time, like we could still examine, as you said, the composition, and it was definitely quartz, and I could definitely see that as chert because of you got a little bit of a reaction, but that was because of the limestone host rock and such.
Yeah, I think there was just a tiny bit of fizzing. There actually wasn't very much fizzing, and it was probably there because there was a little calcite, but it was just a very small amount. And either that was a weathering byproduct where calcite was precipitated on it at some later process, or it could have been residual from an original limestone. But that's the test is inconclusive as far as that's concerned. But that didn't change the basic idea that it's a chert, though. So it could be a chert in a marine sedimentary deposit, or it could be a diagenetic chert. Again, a chert that formed from processes of dissolution and precipitation. It could have been a hydrothermal chert formed from hydrothermal activity. Yeah, and the outside of it kind of had a bone color to it, but it didn't have those the osteoblah-blahs. Do we ever figure out what they're called?
Unfortunately, the Google search kind of failed me. So if we have any paleo people that are in watching the
I'm
video,
just gonna look on the internet really quick.
I was half tempted to actually DM somebody on Instagram that I know is a paleo person, but
I can't quite figure it out. I think they're called osteocytes. I'm gonna
osteocyte.
stick by that. I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong on YouTube. I don't care. I'm gonna go with because osteocyte sounds smart, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, osteo is bone and such, so a complicated word for bone, but yeah.
It's a fancy word for bone, and site means cell. That's probably not right, but whatever. Yeah, but fun group of rocks. They're really nice. They seem to enjoy their rocks, having a good time. I had never heard of a dirt broker before.
Yeah, that was new. Is to hear that
So you like your
profession.
job as a dirt broker, say. Yeah. Any final words on any of those? Any burning questions or burning comments?
No burning questions. I mean, just I guess just remind the viewers that like even though I have my degree now, I'm still learning, and so it's like stuff with in particular like we were talking about maybe some paleo stuff, and that's definitely one I'm looking to look forward to learning in not a classroom setting, but still reading up about it and such. So be a forever student in that way.
Absolutely. There's a lot to learn from that. I'm always learning. Speaking of fossils, I do have a friend of mine who offered to come be on the show. He's an actual paleontologist, a legit paleontologist, publicist and everything. So if anybody out there wants to bring in fossils, come on the show. We'll bring our guest host in, our secret surprise guest host, to help identify fossils. I mean, I can identify bones and some invertebrates and whatever, but this is the kind of guy that, you get a bone and he'll be like, oh, that's from a ground sloth or something,
Yeah.
So he's that kind of a guy. So he's a real guy. So anyways, so hopefully we'll get more fossils. I guess we've had exactly one true fossil in, right? We had the guy with the very first episode was petrified wood.
Yeah.
Other
Then
than
we
that-
have the guy with the radioactive dinosaur bone.
Oh yeah. He had that, but that was sort of a sideshow.
Sideshow,
That wasn't
yeah.
the main rock. That was just sort of something he was wearing for fun. Anyways, so bring fossils in. We'll do that too. We'll get you taken care of, and we'll bring in true fossil experts to help figure out the actual species if we need to do that. So I mean, my specialty is in rocks and hard rocks and some soft rocks. So. All right, if you'd like to be on the show, please send us an email. Also, I don't think I've asked this before, but please subscribe and like and share and all that stuff. It really helps out the show. I'm Dr. Abstract. This is Dylan. You can follow us on Instagram if you want. And we'll see you on the next show. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, I've seen it all. That's why they call me a professional. I I know you're proud of what you got, but this rock ain't worth diddly squat. I'm not saying that you'll never be wealthy, but this preoccupation doesn't seem healthy. Don't give up your day job, you better keep it a hobby on the weekend.